By now, you should have it figured out. By now, you should be healed, settled, certain, or somewhere else entirely. If that sentence has been following you around, stay with me.
Maybe you open your phone on a Sunday night and see a former coworker announcing a promotion. Suddenly, you are telling yourself that you need to enroll in a certificate program by Friday. You were not even thinking about that program yesterday. Now it feels like an emergency. That is borrowed urgency. It is the pressure to move because someone else's timeline, expectation, or visible progress has quietly become a measuring stick for your life. Welcome to the Self-Care Cafe podcast. I'm your hostess, Pami Parker. Here at the cafe, we take a gentle pause from the busyness of life and gather around conversations that nourish the heart, the mind, and the spirit. On today's menu, we're serving a little reflection, a little wisdom, and a few thoughtful insights to support you as you navigate life's transitions and reconnect with what matters most. So, settle in, take a breath, and let's begin.
Today, we are talking about the timelines we carry, especially the ones we never consciously chose. The age by which we thought we would be partnered, the month by which we thought we would be over the breakup, the point in our career when we assumed we would finally feel confident.
And I want to be careful here. Releasing borrowed urgency does not mean ignoring a bill, postponing an important conversation forever, or avoiding a health concern. Sometimes action really is needed. The question is not, how do I stop moving? It is, how do I move without abandoning myself? A deadline can come from a real commitment. It can also come from an old family message, a comparison spiral, or a promise you made before you knew what this season would ask of you. Often it is a mixture. That is why simply telling yourself, this is not my timeline, may not be enough.
You might hear a parent's definition of stability. You might remember friends following a sequence that looks neat from the outside. Or you might be responding to an imagined audience, people who may not be thinking about your choices at all.
The inner critic is very efficient. It takes one photograph from someone else's life and turns it into a verdict about yours. You see the new job, the engagement, the finished project. You do not see the support, uncertainty, money, timing, or private cost behind the picture. So when you hear, I should be further along, try asking, whose voice is that? Is it my grounded knowing? Is it fear? Is it an old promise? Is it comparison speaking through me? You may find that part of the timeline is genuinely yours. Maybe you do want a career change. Maybe you do want deeper connection or more stability. The issue may not be the destination. It may be the frantic demand that you arrive immediately. A values-led goal can still scare you. That's the tricky part. Fear does not automatically mean stop. Sometimes the better question is, underneath the fear, do I still recognize myself in this choice? Pressure disguised as progress sounds different. It says, I have to do this now, or everyone will know I am failing. It turns one decision into a referendum on your worth. It makes rest feel dangerous and every pause feel like falling behind. Notice what happens in your body when you imagine taking the next step. Do you feel nervous but engaged? Or braced, clenched, and mentally sprinting through 10 future disasters? Body cues are information, not commandments. Anxiety does not always mean no, and calm does not always mean yes. But if the only fuel available is shame, panic, or the fear of being left behind, it is worth slowing down long enough to choose more wisely. Capacity belongs in the conversation too. A meaningful goal can still be too large for this week. If you are working long hours, caring for someone, recovering from loss, or simply running on very little sleep, your plan has to include the life you are actually living.
Here is the friction point. What if I really am procrastinating? That is a fair question. Self-compassion is not an endless waiting room. Try 3 things. Name the obligation clearly, choose the smallest responsible action, then set a realistic date to review what happens next.
For example, if you need to address a financial task, the first step might be opening the account and listing the questions you have. If you want to explore a career change, it might be one conversation with someone in that field, not a complete reinvention by Friday. Let's try the timeline check-in now. You can listen quietly or write your answers later. Choose one area where you feel behind. Keep it specific, not my whole life. Try, I should know what comes next, or I should be over this by now. Take one of those sentences and listen for the date hiding inside it. By when do you believe you must be different, finished, certain, successful, or okay? Now ask, is this deadline truly mine? You do not have to reject it immediately. Just create a little space around it. Notice whether it came from a practical commitment, a value you still hold, or a fear of disappointing someone. Then ask what you fear would happen if you released it. Would you feel invisible, unchosen, stuck? Would you worry that without pressure, you would lose your motivation? You do not have to argue with that fear. You can say, I understand why I reached for this deadline. It was trying to protect me from uncertainty, but I can choose support instead of panic. Finally, name the value underneath the situation. Is it stability, creativity, health, honesty, connection, meaningful contribution? A value may not tell you the entire plan, but it can point you toward a next step that feels like yours. Make that step small enough for your current life to hold. Research one program, schedule one appointment, spend 20 minutes on the document, have one honest conversation, or take one restorative evening without making rest a prize you have to earn. A small step is not a small life. It is simply a step you can actually take. And sometimes the slower choice prevents an expensive decision made only to quiet a comparison spiral. There may be grief in releasing a timeline. You might be relieved and sad in the same breath. You may appreciate your present life and still ache for what you expected by now. Those feelings can sit beside one another. You do not have to force them into a tidy conclusion. If this reflection touches something especially tender, pause the episode, write a little, or talk with someone you trust. Support is not a sign that you are failing at self-care. Sometimes support is the most self-trusting next step. So this week, when you hear yourself say, I am behind, pause and ask whose timeline you are measuring yourself against. Check your body. Check your actual capacity. Name the value you want to honor and choose one responsible action that belongs to you. Your life is not late because it does not resemble someone else's life. Moving with care does not mean you have stopped moving. Visit the Self-Care Cafe website and download the printable timeline check-in before your next planning session. It will help you name the deadline, identify whose voice is attached to it, and choose one action for the next 7 days. Bring your uncertainty with you. There is room for it. Thank you for listening. Take good care of yourself this week. And when the old urgency returns, see whether you can answer it with a kinder question. What is the next step that belongs to me? Come as you are. Leave nourished.